Ghouls and Gals, and welcome back to my channel. If you guys are new here, hi, my name is Hillary, and if you are a returning subscriber, welcome back. Now I'm just going to take a quick second before we start just to mention my merch is here, guys, and it is down below. If anyone feels like supporting the channel or you just think it's cool, or it's just like a sick t-shirt that you want to wear, you should go check it out. It's just down below. I'm going to put the link in the description. So let's get on to what we're covering tonight. Tonight we are going to be going over the mysterious case of the DYATLOV PASS. And forgive me if I mispronounce things. There are some really long names of stuff that, and I'm not good at pronouncing, so if something's a little off, just forgive me. But let's get right on into the DYATLOV PASS. The DYATLOV PASS incident was this big thing that happened where 9 Russian students went hiking in the mountains and all died with mysterious circumstances. So that was between the 1st and 2nd of February in 1959. The 9 students were from Ural Polytechnical Institute, and they departed from Sverdlovsk, which is now Yekaterinburg, and those were the ones I wasn't sure I could pronounce, but I think I crushed it. The group proceeded on their mission to Otta Orton Mountain, and they were led by Igor Dyatlov. He was said to be this super experienced mountaineer who had done this thousands of times, so it was a cool thing. All these guys decided that they were gonna go out, go exploring, and the bad stuff happened. On January 28th, one of the people that had gone with him, his name was Yuri Yudin, was actually the only person to survive this, and the reason that he survived was because he was not feeling well. So he went with the group for a certain portion of their hike or their adventure, and he wasn't feeling well, so he ended up having to leave and go back. After Yudin had left, the other 9 people on this trip decided to go ahead, so they were on foot and skis, and they continued following the Aspaya River into the mountains. From what we know, people had recovered their photos and journals, so as far as we know, their walk through the river following the mountains was fine. There was nothing really going on. There wasn't anything big that had happened, other than the weather was a little bit bad and it kind of slowed down the hike. But other than that, everyone seemed to be in good spirits. On the 1st of February, they all set up their campsite on the mountain, and they were on the eastern side of this mountain, and get this, get what the mountain was called. It's called Dead Mountain. That evening was the night that everything went bad, and as far as we know, this is what we knew happened. All the people were inside the tent. Somebody cut the tent from inside, and all of the 9 students that were in there went charging out in their underwear, no shoes, no jackets. A lot of them were very badly dressed, and they just went running. They all ran into the freezing night, and that night the temperatures were below. They were negative 22 degrees Fahrenheit, which is cold. A few weeks later, obviously all of the relatives of these people were getting quite scared because no one came back. The day that they were all supposed to return, nobody got any phone calls, nobody got any word where anyone was, so obviously they were all freaking out, and they decided to send help. On February 26, searchers found their tent, and they found 9 sets of footprints running away from the tent. The footprints led the searchers to a nearby slope, which then went into the forest. And I just want to cut in and say, if you guys are experienced hikers, I don't know why they decided to make their tent in the middle of open field. I believe it's more common sense, or especially if you are like an experienced mountaineer, that you should be putting your tent in the woods. Why would you put it in an open area instead of the woods that are just down the way? I didn't really understand that, and that's probably something that a lot of people are wondering. So after following the footprints into the forest, under a large cedar tree, they found the remnants of a fire and 2 of the bodies. 2 of the bodies were frozen right at the fire, and then they found the next 3 bodies in varying distances from the tent to the fire, all of which were covered by some snow. I'm gonna read what happened to them and some of their injuries, as well as where they found the next few bodies. Autopsies later revealed that all 5 had died of hypothermia. The last 4 hikers were found May 1959 at the bottom of a small ravine covered by 9 feet of snow inside the forest. 3 of them had sustained lethal injuries. 1 had a fractured skull and 2 had fractured ribs. 1 had minor injuries and died of hypothermia. The medical examiner believed the injuries had been sustained from a fall or from a small avalanche of ice and snow that crushed some of the hikers. Now, this is where it gets sketchy because, as you heard, the examiner said that they must have gotten caught into maybe a little avalanche or something, and as far as everyone knew, there was no signs of an avalanche happening from the tent to where they were. Usually with an avalanche, obviously the snow comes out, there's debris, there's a bunch of other things that can give you a sign that yes, there was a huge avalanche, but none of those things happened. So it's left a lot of people speculating as to what went on up there. The cause of death was listed as an unknown compelling force that the hikers were unable to overcome. And this is where all the speculations come in, because there went from everything, I'm just going to read it because it went from everything from serial killer attack, avalanches, animal attacks, secret weapons, a military cover-up, a fire in the tent, a killer snowman, UFOs, and temporary insanity caused by drugs. It's also said that some of the hikers were a little bit better dressed than the others, even though they all left in this huge rush. They think what had happened was obviously a couple people died first of hypothermia, and then the rest of the people decide to scavenge their clothes. So one person had wrapped like a t-shirt around their feet, and the people that were found by the ravine were a little bit better dressed than the people found near the fire and the tent. Now, for the serial killer and obviously the abominable snowman, which I think is a little bit out of reach, there is no evidence that a third party was there. There's no footprints on the way back. There's no footprints in. And obviously they only saw the 9 people leave the tent. They didn't see a 10th person following them. Nothing like that. So a serial killer is a little bit far-fetched. A lot of people were saying it was actually paranormal activity that made these people leave. No one can understand why these people would cut their way out of the tent. A lot of people were saying, oh, there was a fire inside, so they had to run, which I don't believe they found any evidence of a fire being caused inside that would make everybody flee. I'm pretty sure even a couple of the people's eyes and tongues were removed, although people say that it was from scavengers, so we can't really be sure if it was cut out or nibbled out by a mountain animal. And again, I said someone had mentioned something about a UFO. I'm not fully against the idea that aliens could happen because, you know, we got a lot of space. There's a lot of people here. Maybe an alien did it, but that's just something that we'll never know. That's something that somebody just decided to throw in there. I would really be interested on how did this actually happen? Like, what took place? A lot of scientists are saying there was this, because they decided to put their tent on this open, vast area with snow, that there was a sound that you can't really hear. Like, it's not an outright scream or sound. It's like a low hum that drives people mad. So a lot of people now, currently, are saying that this sound drove them all mad, and they thought obviously something was happening, and every single one of them left. But I just hate the fact that we don't know. Now, do I think that a Yeti or a UFO came and attacked these people? No, I don't. But I don't think it's too crazy to say that maybe they were all driven to insanity. I know the sound thing, for me, it was the most plausible. Maybe there was this sound that was created by the wind and it was vibrating and kind of drove everyone a little bit mad, because what else could be the reason that this happened? There's no fire. There was no evidence of avalanche. There was no evidence of a serial killer. So either that or somebody in the tent, just one person, maybe went a little nuts and decided to try and attack everybody else. Or possibly they heard a sound outside. I don't know what kind of wildlife is out there, but maybe they heard some sort of growl, and the only thing they thought would be best to do would be cutting open the tent and running out. I don't know what you would fear for so much that you would leave your only source of safety to run out into weather that is freezing and you know will kill you. Now, in the aftermath of all this, no one ever figuring out what happened, Yuri Yudin, the only guy that survived, actually helped, and they created a bunch of things. There's a plaque, there is a museum. He was the only remaining survivor, even though he didn't actually go on the trip, but he recently passed away in 2013. So now it's just the museum and stories like this that are keeping this mystery going. Now I'm going to read one more snippet of what someone thought happened just to finish this off because I thought it was interesting, so we're going to get right into it. The group woke up in a panic and cut their way out of the tent, either because of an avalanche had covered the entrance of their tent or because they were scared that an avalanche was imminent. Better to have a potentially repairable slit in a tent than risk being buried alive in it under tons of snow. They were poorly clothed because they had been sleeping and ran to the safety of the nearby woods where trees would help slow oncoming snow. In the darkness of the night, they got separated into 2 or 3 groups. One group made a fire, hence the burned hands, while the others tried to return to the tent to recover their clothing since they had passed. But it was too cold and they all froze to death before they could locate their tent in the darkness. At some point, some of the clothes may have been recovered or swapped from the dead, but at any rate, the group of 4 whose bodies were most severely damaged were caught in the avalanche and buried under 4 meters, 13 feet of snow. More than enough to account for the compelling natural force the medical examiner described. Dubina's tongue was likely removed by scavengers. Now again, I just want to remind everyone after that, there was no avalanche. So this is somebody that is trying to find out something, trying to explain away, I don't know what went on, or trying to find a logical explanation, but the one thing that we know that's logical is there was no avalanche. No avalanche happened. So we don't know how those people broke their ribs, how they were so injured. So I want to thank everyone for watching. I know this one was super frustrating because this is like, I don't know. I have no idea what happened. And all the plausible answers are kind of like, yo, was it a Yeti? So I want to thank everyone. If you guys liked it, feel free to like or subscribe or leave a comment below. Again, there is merch now, so if any of you guys want some merch, we got it. I hope to see you guys next week. Thanks. Bye.